Welcome to the BudsnReality Show. I'm Sean Collins, the guy with a lot to say, and I'm here with my guest, Jessica Fenske, aka ForestMommy, as you all know her on Twitter. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
You're so welcome. I've been wanting to have you on for a while just because you've been having way too much fun on Twitter, and it's kind of entertaining to watch and see how that's been going because people are people and you are you, and you take it like a champ and you throw it right back, and it's been quite interesting.
I try. It gets me sometimes, but then I'm also like, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna keep being crazy, and if they hate me, whatever. Yeah, I love Twitter. Twitter's been my lifesaver over the last 3 years with COVID and everything. Like everything where I'm at now happened because I got on Twitter, which is silly, but it's where I'm at.
It's funny. I had a personal Twitter like 3 years ago. I figured out how to do it, and I got banned like the first week forever. I got a forever ban on Twitter the first week I was ever on there, and I was like, oh well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. And so I didn't do it again. And then like a year and a half later, my wife buys me this podcast for Christmas one year and opens a Twitter account under the other name or whatever, my Bud's name and whatnot. At the time we were Buds in the basement, it wasn't Buds in reality quite yet. I had to come out of the basement and be a grown up after a while. So, but yeah, I haven't been so sassy since I've been back, but there's a little more freedom than there was a few years ago on Twitter for sure.
Yeah, because it was kind of crazy free, and then then it just went really censorship. And as we saw with all the Twitter files and everything, like they were censoring everybody. And if you said something like a little over the line to them, you were out. And they were able to see people's algorithms too, like they could see how much you were affecting people and stuff. So they knew who to take down. It's That's crazy, but we all found each other still. That's why I'm like, I still believe in the magic of Twitter because even with all that going on, a lot of people still found each other. We still found all the right information, things like that. So they tried.
It was
Yeah.
weird to see that, we all kind of knew that they were silencing, truthers and whatnot, or whatever you want to call us, conspiracy theorists, or, whatever name's going to be out there in the world that they have for us. But like, you know, Facebook was bad for me. I'm still shadow banned from Facebook, even on my personal page. They unpublished my Buds page. They just totally took it down for a picture of Hunter Biden with hookers. They didn't care for that too much. But it's I hate Facebook. I have it. I have like no followers on it, but such is life. I keep it for fam and whatnot. But let's talk about what you got going on for a minute here, because you're running for city council in Colorado in your district.
Yep.
What
In the city of Arvada, Colorado, which is a suburb of Denver, kind of on the west side. And yeah, I'm running for District 4, which is there's 4 districts, and that's one district I'm running for. And another libertarian's running for District 2, but he's not online. So we're
how is
totally different.
not online? That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I think he has Facebook and stuff, but he's just not online very much. So,
I mean, it's
but
kind
I'm
of
helping.
smart. That's awesome. Now you're in real estate, right? That's like your
Yeah, I have my broker's license, and I will forever, but it's definitely a little cliche. Like I call myself a poor man's trophy wife with a broker's license. Like it's kind of like I do a couple sales a year. I'm not like a Remax agent, I'm not one of those like normal real estate brokers, but yeah, just have a pretty good life, make a couple sales a year, and you don't have to like be a pushy, annoying person, which is funny because I'm going to knock on doors for my campaign. And I've never knocked on doors for real estate, which would make me money technically. But I'm like, no, I would never do that, but I will for the campaign.
That's awesome. Now, how does one go from like being in the real estate industry, go from that to, hey, I'm going to run for local government, and on top of it, I'm going to run as a libertarian of all things?
Well, the last three with all the COVID stuff that happened, once I got on Twitter and was like saying my thing, the nice thing about being a broker and like the company I work for, kind of it's independent contractor, so it's very loose. I was able to say what I wanted to say about COVID and not have to worry about being fired or anything. But so it's not like the real estate broker or the real estate industry is like my whole life. Even before then, I was volunteering. I used to volunteer on a land trust board with stock show stuff out here. So I've always kind of been a volunteer with my, because I feel like if you have a good life, you should give back in some way. So that's what I was doing. Um, the main reason I ran, and I didn't want to run. Like even the week before, I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. But with the Mises Caucus and stuff, our whole thing is, and I saw this happen in Colorado, where very slowly in local politics, they came in and took over. There's a book about it called The Blueprint. Like people are so focused on other things, and when life is good, you're not paying attention, and no one wants to pay attention to local politics. You know, like no one really wants to get involved. So just with the Mises Caucus stuff, like I was like, okay, I need to walk the walk, especially because I'm the kind of person I have the time to do this. I'll be able to do it. You know, I knew I didn't want to have to fundraise, but I knew with my Twitter following, I'd at least get a little money just from people like that, so I could at least get the basics for the campaign. And then our campaign director, sorry, it's dry as heck out here. The like week before, he was like, you know, it would be kind of you could kind of maybe win the race because no one else had filed yet. So being first to file looks good. And then just with the amount of people votes I'll need and just the general makeup of the city and stuff, he was like, I think you could win. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I don't know what I'm doing. Like I've never wanted to run local before. I actually got off other boards from other things because I felt like, and they weren't even government boards, but like it felt too authoritarian to me. So I was like, all right, I'm never going to be in politics, but now I am. And then the minute I filed, some crap happened to me that kind of blew it up. So then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to do it. If it's that big of a deal for someone like me to file and they're making a big deal of it, the people who like work for the media, for the government, then I'm like, okay, maybe it's will be a little, not to like say I'm going to lead a revolution or whatever, but it's like, I want to show people you can be normal and not and like, and do it. It doesn't have to be all these corporate government people all the time, which is what I'm running against. So I don't know. It's kind of a practice for me too, because I don't know how to do it, and I want to learn how to do it. So I want to go. I want to see how my government works from the inside out, the localist level.
I mean, there's only one way to do it, and that's to do it. I mean, it's not like there's a class on how to run for city council, you know, or
No.
maybe there is. I'm clueless when it comes to that. But you know, what is the political landscape in Colorado?
So it used to be very a liberty-minded kind of place, it was spaced out enough. There was enough room for people to like live and let live. But now the cities, of course, are super blue. The cities are super blue. So Denver, Fort Collins, Boulder, um, up in the mountains where like the famous people are, excuse me. And then everywhere else is a little more red or a little more just independent. We have the most independent voters out. Like we have a ton of independent voters. And if you're in the city and an independent, you're going to lean left, right? Out in the country, out in the rural side, you're going to lean right. So it's still fairly purple. It's just that the city controls so much that it's hard to kind of get past all that. And what the things they're doing, and then our like legislator, they definitely were. It's definitely I don't want to say fully progressive, but the people who are in that are progressive are pushing for some crazy stuff. So at the state level, they're pushing for some crazy things. And our governor was, you know, he's a tyrant, in my opinion. People say he's a libertarian. He is not a libertarian at all. So I don't know. It's interesting out here because the more like Twitter blew up and stuff for me, even after just starting to run, there are so many Colorado people I have found from Colorado that are following me now too. And I'm following, you know, there's a ton of people out there, and I'm through the politics stuff. I'm meeting so many people that I'm like, you know, it's everything's not online, and there are a lot more people out there who are willing to fight and kind of have at least a liberty mindset. So who knows what it really is? With you know, because you never know what voting is legit or not either. So I don't know.
I mean, I'm under the impression that all elections are rigged. You know, it's funny to hear the Trumpers freak out about 2020 and the election was stolen. And I'm like, maybe so, very could possibly well be so. You know, I kind of believe that too, but it's not the only time it's happened. I can think of two other elections that were presidential elections since I've been able to vote, you know, since 2000. I was 20 years old when I got to vote for my first president because when I was 18, it didn't fall in that year. And the first George W. election,
with Al Gore.
Al Gore won that, so they say. And then all of a sudden, Florida came through Jeb Bush, and all of a sudden these votes came on from out of nowhere down there, and
The
all of a sudden,
hanging chads and stuff.
oh yeah, I remember all that. And W ended up getting the nod, and I was like, wow, that's kind of sketchy. But at the time, I was like gung ho about it because I'm a never Democrat. I've never been. My hardcore Southern Baptist upbringing would not allow me to be a Democrat whatsoever. So neoconservative, yay for like my first little bit of voting career. But and then also 2012, people forget that Mitt Romney was actually doing a victory speech. And then all of a sudden, Barack Obama won, and you're like, wait a minute here. What the hell is this all about? So, I mean, to say this was the first time it's happened, I highly doubt it.
And
But
we don't get to audit, like we don't audit it. They only audit. There's no way for us to ever know. That's why with this district thing, I'm at least like, well, this is the smallest amount of people to vote. Like it's 11,000 votes or something. So if there is funny business, we'll be able to kind of tell, after we door knock and stuff, just to like get the vibe of people. So that's something else. I'm like, we can at least prove the political process doesn't work for normal people, like any outcome that happens with this, I'm okay with. And that's how it's gonna go. That's the attitude I have for it. Because I'm gonna get the message out. We'll prove things work or don't work or are corrupt or not corrupt. So that's what I'm trying to do.
nice. How has your grassroots campaign been going?
It's been interesting because the like GOP out here loves me in this area. And some of them were following me on Twitter even before all this happened. I'd met some of them before this happened. And I was like, I'm a little crazy. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. We love you. We want someone different. And that's why I've gone to like some of their meetings and stuff. And then through them, there's been like health freedom groups that have reached out that want to help me. The libertarian people out here want to help. What other group? There's just a lot of random people that want to help, which is cool. And so the GOP isn't right as of right now. They're not running anyone against me. So it's just me running against the one guy. It's kind of the opposite. Normally they say the libertarian will split the vote, but since I was already, if a Republican runs now, they'll split the vote. So it's like the opposite. But yeah, I don't know. It's just the support's been really cool. All the different kind of support and all the people kind of get me, even especially because like libertarian name just messes so much stuff up for people, and I'm like, no, just ignore that. And it's let's just all, but like I said before, like there's a bigger fish to fry right now. Let's all work together. There's something weird happening with me in this right now. Let's take this energy and run with it. And it seems like people really are on board with it. And they're like the background politics that are helping me. People live like in my district that have been involved for the last 20 years are helping me. They're like got the dirt on people, and they're the guy I'm running against a couple years ago. They attempted to recall him, and like I have the actual signatures of everyone who tried to recall him because someone's like they want to help me out and stuff. So that's been really cool. Just all the random the like I'm a good networker. I'm good at making friends and stuff, but I was like, I don't want to have to politic. I don't want to do the and a lot of it is snobby, and I refuse to do the snobby stuff. I won't like I hate the snobby. You got to know this person and hobnob with this person. Like I won't participate in that. Which maybe it'll hurt me, maybe it won't. But I'm like I can't even fake being snobby. So yeah, I don't know. I think that it's the grassroots is going good and everyone wants to help because the right and the left both have Act Blue on the left. I don't know if you've heard of Act Blue, but it's basically this whole program, and the right has one called Win Red. They fundraise for you. They do everything for you basically. So they find candidates. This is what happened. They find candidates they think could win, but they don't even have to campaign really because Act Blue does all it and they take their share. It's like it's total money. It's just for money. So I don't have that. It's just us. It's like a merry band of us just running everything. I'm doing my website, we're doing all the money stuff. Like it's just it really is a working class. I know that sounds silly with all these shoes, but working class, like normal people who have jobs or whatever, like helping. And I'm trying to prove because everyone's like, well, the working man can't participate. And I'm like, well, let's try. So that's another thing we're proving that normal people can do it. We've got to change this culture of like these corporate politicians and can't and like guy I'm running against been in 12 years already. Like, why would you want to be in city council for 12 years, let alone more than 12 years now? So
Right.
I want to kind of like switch that out too,
Well, yeah,
if I can.
that's the ideal situation. I mean, nobody likes a career politician, you know. I feel like, you know, obviously most everybody is wants term limits for Congress and Senate and stuff like that. And we're not getting it. I feel like 12 years is a pretty fair term limit for those people. If I were to have it my way, you know, 12 years is a lot of time to get stuff done, and you're not there too long to, you know, become a super asshole like the rest of them are. But have you actually gone door knocking yet? I hear you talking about it a lot. Have you actually gone to door knock yet?
Not yet. The weather's been like cruddy every weekend. So I have volunteers that we're gonna start. I'm actually gonna like go to the libertarian people first, the registered libertarians, and then my neighborhood and going out. Still waiting on some like my door hanger, some of my stuff I ordered and whatnot. But yeah, that's because that's the only way I can get paid, really, is just to go talk to people. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
gonna be it.
You know, the door knocking thing could be interesting. I'm going to be paying attention to that big time because you never know what you're going to get out of people when you show up to their house. You know,
Yeah.
I have signs all over my door at my place because I live in the city, and I'm like, no trespassing, no soliciting, every type of sign on the door that you can have that says leave me the hell alone. I have it. And it's 2020, and it's obviously an election year, and things are heated with the way everything is. And I'm eating dinner with my wife, and I see this guy across the street doing his thing, and I see him look at my door, and he sees the signs. I could tell he's like reading, he's squinting from across the street. I'm like, oh, he's not going to come here. All of a sudden I hear like my storm door open a little bit. My dog goes mental, and both of them do. And I'm like, oh my God. And I probably had a little bit of whiskey already. And I opened the door and I was like, hey man, can you read? And he's like, he looks straight at me and tells me, well, I'm protected by my First Amendment to come and leave this stuff here. And I said, well, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm protected by the Second Amendment to get you off my property. And that, you know, he didn't take kindly to that. And he grabbed his flyer out of my hand. He's like, give me my 38 cents back. And I was like, you can have it, bro. Kick rocks.
Yeah, I'll definitely be respecting that. That and like I said before, I never door knocked as a real estate agent because I always felt like it's a violation of the app to like disrupt someone at home to sell something, right? So that's was a little bit of a principle thing, but I'm like, well, at least I'm going to these people. I'm not selling them. I want them to tell me their issues, you know, and no one's ever come to my door as the city council, which that I would kind of appreciate. But I also have no trespassing sites too. And don't try it on me out front, you know, all that. So yeah, I will be very respectful if they don't want me as any sales, then that's gotta respect that in my opinion.
Well, absolutely. I just thought it was very bizarre that he would even throw the First Amendment out there about passing
Yeah.
out flyers. I was like, all right, dude, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get out of here.
Yeah. And that's
But
like for government, not talking to someone that's impressed over it.
yeah, I don't even know what it was for anymore. Everything's pretty politically charged where I'm at. You know, everybody's got signs out for something. I did talk to a lady that was running for mayor a couple years ago, and I actually really liked her, but she was running as an independent. It was kind of funny. I was actually wearing this T-shirt that I have on now that says, please don't feed the animals. And I, you know, I was talking to her. I said, what are you running as? And she goes, well, you're probably going to like me judging by your shirt. And I was like, why do you say that? Are you a libertarian? She goes, no, but I'm running as an independent. And the lady who's been mayor of my city is a Democrat, and she's had this chair forever. Like, she's been the mayor here forever. And the poor independent lady didn't even come close. I don't even think there's a little over 30,000 people where I'm at. And I don't even think she took 1,000 votes.
Yeah. And was she doing the work too? Like
Oh
was
yeah,
she out? Yeah.
I saw her in my neighborhood. She was passing out flyers and talking to people and stuff. Seemed really cool or whatever, you know. And it was kind of funny. We actually have another election coming in the city for mayor again coming up, and somebody asked me if I was going to do it, and I was like, no.
There's so many the things is the people who should don't want to. Like I didn't want to. And we'll even see like so I'm like half time I'm like, oh, I hope we don't win a little bit. Like, yeah, I have no excuse not to. So, like I said, I want to show people. And like just our mayor's been there for 30 some years too. Now he's getting out. And it's like, why are these people in there for so long? It's just it's asinine in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems crazy to me too. Like, don't get me wrong, I would love to run for office. I just my 20s were my 20s and there's a paper trail on that. So like it wouldn't go well for me if I ran for any type of office. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to put my wife through that. I'm not putting me through that.
Yeah,
But I'll
I get
advocate
it.
for people, like if the Libertarian Party of Michigan wants me to push people for the state, I will definitely do it on my show. I'll definitely be a voice.
Yeah, the help is the best. Like I tell people too, if they don't want to give me money, then help me volunteer this summer. That's more valuable to me, or just sharing stuff online, whatever it is. But yeah,
How's
it's
the
been
reception?
exhausting already.
How's your reception been from people since you started running? Like, what's that like from either side and or libertarians? Like, what's the reception?
Like, are they happy with what I'm doing, or
Yeah, like what are they saying? What's the haters and the happy people? What are they saying?
the haters have nothing. They just call me a Republican or something. That's like what the libertarian haters do. Um, Everyone's just like they like that I'm real. I think that's a big like the good reception is people are like, oh, she's real and she's genuine and she says it like it is, and I think we're okay with that. Um, yeah, the haters are weird though. From all sides, like they're just weird. And it's always like men, catty men who are like hating on me. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about.
Have you been called not a real libertarian by other libertarians yet?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then you're a real
For
one.
sure. Yeah. Over the last couple of years, it's like, yeah, it is what it is. They're all like the old libertarians. They're like, oh, you're just a Republican, and I'm like, I don't even have kids. I'm not even married. I've been living with a man for 14 years. Like, what? Like, just because you want less government, it's just weird what the names people call people to try to shut you down. But I know the whole like calling anybody Republican. That's from all the Facebook stuff with 2016 and Trump. It's just like everybody's been trained to just like call someone Republican and then they're bad. I don't think that's how it works. But
Well, it's funny as libertarians, you get called a lot of things like you're Republicans who like to smoke weed, or Democrats who like guns, or you're extremist, or you're selfish, or whatever it may be. And it's all the cliche shit. Like nobody ever has anything original to come up with when they bash libertarians. Like some guy got on my thread the other day and called me a LOL libertarian. And I was
oh
like,
yeah, love.
I've never heard that before, dude. I was like, if you're gonna insult me, come with something original, please. And I might even
Yeah.
laugh at it. It might even be funny. You
Yeah,
know,
or being like a real discussion, real disagreement that we can like talk about or argue, like a real something, not just like names and stuff. Like that's just someone said yesterday, you act like you're Republican. I was like, how do I act Republican? Well, Republican and Democrats are white supremacists. I'm like, did you just call me a white supremacist too? On top of it, like they don't think that they only know the buzzwords and the words, and then you're like, they don't go that next to explain it because they don't even know what they're saying. So that's part of it too, where it's like all the hate I've been getting, I can brush it off because it's like, what do they know? People online, it's not all real life. Once I started getting to know all the LP people out here and the MC people out here, it was like it was a breath of fresh air. It was during COVID, first of all, so it was meeting people and getting out again, and everyone's just been so cool that I'm like, where does all this hate come from online? Everyone like in real life is, I mean, there's issues in other states. Colorado's we're lucky out here, but like, I just don't get the hate stuff, and it's so stupid. It's just stupid. Doesn't make any sense.
well, it's because no matter what, you could be doing good deeds. Honestly, you could be helping somebody on the street, and somebody's going to find a reason to be mad.
Yeah,
It
especially
doesn't
online.
matter anymore. It just people are going to be mad, and that's just the way it is. And you can either entertain them or you can brush them off. I kind of brush it off now. I used to get really angry with people online. and I get into it, I get heated, I'd be mad, I get my heart pumping, and I'm like, for what? You know?
Yeah.
And then I remember a buddy of mine said something to me. He's like, stop arguing with people who should have been swallowed. And I was like, you got it, dude. Thank you for saying that to me. I really needed to hear that. And now, like, I actually use that sometimes, if somebody just won't stop and be like, hey, man, I would love to continue this battle of wits, but I'm not going to argue with people who should have been swallowed. And then they either stop or they really get angry. And when they really get angry, I just shut up because now I've won.
Yeah, because there's good faith, and then there's just people who just want to keep going and going like that. And nowadays, just with my following and stuff, I don't even have to like, I don't have to say anything. Half the time, a bunch of other people will go after them and stuff. So it's like, all right, fine with me. I'm glad other people get to see like what's happened and stuff. Everything's been so public about what happened to me. So I'm like, see, everyone got to see like all this crazy stuff. It's not me being weird, they call me weird, but
I remember when I found you on Twitter, somebody had retweeted a video and it was super base, dude. And I was like, you know what? I got to follow this chick because she's awesome. And then, I found out you were running and stuff, but it's been interesting to see how many people come at you sideways. And I'm like,
yeah.
but you got your tribe to back you up. So that's nice. That's great. And, don't let it discourage you, I'm sure. But like, when you're running for local office, which is amazing, by the way, because change actually happens locally. The federal government's never going to change itself. It's never going to fix itself. As a matter of fact, it's going to get worse no matter what, especially if we keep electing asshats from the duopoly. It's just what it is. So, when you get people to run local, especially common working folk, and that want to be a libertarian on top of it, people like you, if you get in, are the ones that can protect us from unconstitutional bullshit that the federal government tries to push on us, because the nullification process is very real. And if you get enough, libertarians or, liberty-minded people, it doesn't just even have to be libertarians,
Right.
It could be Democrats or Republicans. I'm not going to sit here and say that all Democrats are terrible or all Republicans are terrible. I'm sure there's a couple good ones out there, maybe locally too, but you could protect your city or your county through nullification, and that's amazing. That's why running a local election is so important. I wish more people would get out there and be like, hey, I want to do city council or school board or clerk or mayor or any of that stuff, because we need people, especially liberty-minded people, to get out there and do that.
Yeah, or even there's a bunch of like metro boards. There's all sorts of uncontested stuff you can get on where you're like get involved and whatnot. But yeah, like you said, what did you say? So just say back to what you said.
The nullification process.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and even like my city Arvada did a pretty good job of even fighting back against our county public health department and stuff during COVID. So yeah, and that what's funny is I went to the State of the City address, which is it was our mayor's last address recently, and it was through the chamber, and nothing against chambers or cross, I get the whole idea with chamber, but all these they're so snobby at these events. They're just snobby and all that. But at the end of his address, he said, we need to make sure to keep Democrat, Republican, and now Libertarian politics out of the city. And I'm like, I made him say Libertarian.
That's awesome.
But I'm like, but people need to understand it's so hard to get people to understand like you really do have to take the right and left binders off and be like, governments actually should be kind of scared of libertarians, because if I get in, I want to be the barrier between the government and the people. That's what I want to be. Like that's what I need to be, and that's what we need. We don't need people who are good in on the right and left, and even out here, the more Republican people who've been on city council, they've caved on things, and they've been bought out by things too. It's just as. So yeah, I wish people could understand, even if because all the anarchist stuff and too, because obviously at the end of the day we all want no government, right? But we're in this spot. We have to like play the games we're at. But people are like, "Whoa, you're getting into government, you hate it." And I'm like, yeah, at least I'm gonna try, because I want to try to protect people from the government. Like everyone's all scared about. I'm like, half the time you're not scared. Obviously, the left is being really nuts right now, right? But like most of the time people are more scared that the right will control the government and control their life, or the left will control the government and control their life. And I'm like, what if the government's the problem in that case, not the people on each side. It's the government, the apparatus that can control people's lives. That's the problem. So yeah, if we could get more people, libertarian people, and even just to run, like just to run. Someone was trying to say, get on. I was trying to get people on the ballots in some areas because a lot of areas don't have a good LP affiliates or don't have people around. They don't have a movement. So it's like get on the ballots, even just go through the process because it's hard in some places and it's easier, and people just should just try it and see what happens.
Do libertarians have ballot access in Colorado?
Yeah, it's really easy out here. It's for right now. It's what's funny is one of the bills that I spoke against this year, a Republican brought it up, and it was she made this bill that basically would make it so third parties we couldn't do where we nominate people at convention. It was gonna like take that away from us and make it much harder. So we all like everybody went and spoke against this one. We're like, no, can't do this, and it got turned down. Thank goodness. So we're still have a fairly easy process at this point.
Yeah, we have them. Libertarians are well, everybody's on the ballot. Green Party and whoever's running are on the ballot in Michigan, surprisingly enough, because we're like one of the most communist states now in the US at this point. They just passed these crazy red flag gun laws that are, which include gun confiscation.
Yeah, it's same here too. Like they had a shooting and then all of a sudden the red flag laws go in. Not to be conspiratorial, but
That's
every time.
well, I have my own. We could put on a tinfoil hat and talk about all these mass shootings right now because I don't think any of them are accidents or
Or
just,
organic.
yeah, like something's going on, whether it be the FBI or whatever. I won't get into that too much, but we won't put it past government to like slaughter children or people in a mall or anything because they do it every day with their foreign policy. So you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not far fetched. But what is the most important things to you running right now? Like, what are the issues that are most important to you on the local level that you want to fix?
There's two things I'd really like to fix or just bring more attention to. The first thing is all the DEI trainings that the government does, diversity, equity, inclusion, struggle sessions, all that stuff. So the taxpayer dollars are paying for these consulting companies to come in and do this DEI trainings. And if you're at a private company, which is stupid that the private companies are doing it too, but whatever, it's their own money. But the government taxpayer dollars should not be paid for so people can go to these classes to be basically told racist things. Like it's not what they're trying to say. It's opposite of it's literally like creates more segregation and more racial tension. So I would love to like somehow get that privately paid for or get the government to stop because forces the government jobs force all these people to do it. It's mostly governments that are forced because it's just a backroom deal between these consultants and there's the whole Marxism aspect of it too, but it's someone making money. So that'd be one huge thing. And the guy I'm running against, no, we need to keep those to be more inclusive. Like the whole article, they were like dogging on me for being a libertarian. I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are real inclusive right there. Like they're just all hypocrites. And then another issue was a couple years ago, the guy I'm running against, they decided that they needed to make a one trash service for the whole city, which some smaller cities or big cities, it kind of can make sense to have one trash service. But we're a big sprawling suburb, there's no reason for it. But they took it upon themselves, and he said in an article, we can't let the people vote on this because blah blah blah. It's so difficult. So they made it so there was one trash service, but then everyone complained. That's when he got almost recalled. And so they said, okay, well, you can opt out. Well, even if you opt out, now you still have to pay a fee. You still have to pay, it's an extra tax they just pulled out of thin air to pay for this trash service you're not even using, and you have to pay for your own trash service now. It's like, how stupid and obvious. So I'd love to tackle that. That would be that. And then we have this weird housing bureaucracy. I would love to see if we could change it because it should be the stuff that this bureaucracy for housing and urban renewal development should kind of be a city council thing anyways, or it should be voted on, and it's kind of not. So that would be something I'd like to kind of get rid of. But that's kind of the more local issues. The DEI stuff really, that really, I don't
That
like want
that
at
sounds
it so
crazy.
bad.
That sounds crazy. Where you're at, is there a lot of merchants and businesses there? Like, do you have
It's
a
pretty
county?
good. Yeah, they're pretty good, and the city's pretty good with businesses here and bringing them in and treating them decent. Obviously, yeah, I would like it better. We did have like Amazon tried to come in and build a thing, and the people were against it, so that didn't happen. But other than that, like small business, there it's pretty thriving here. It's still the suburb is still building out a little bit, so there's still more stuff being built, more places for businesses to be built, and yeah, and the business owners I've met so far too, which I've met like through GOP people, so they're more conservative owners, obviously, but they're all really cool and supportive. So yeah, it's like a nice, it's a suburb, it's a sprawling suburb, but has a little bit of everything.
Because like the only reason I ask is because local government is very I don't want to say important to local businesses, but it can make or break local businesses in that town. And what people don't realize is how much meddling that the local governments do in the local businesses, which pushes them away. And not everybody understands that. When businesses leave your area, your property values go down. Like, you want to have a downtown area. You want to have lots of restaurants. You want to have lots of merchants and shopping and whatever that may be, because it drives up your home values and your
Yeah.
house is your investment at the end of the day. And a lot of times local governments will get in the way of those businesses and shoo them off, which ends up driving property values down. And I don't think people get that too much. I don't think they understand that that's how that works.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, that the city did do like a good job protecting businesses during COVID, at least to some extent from the public health department, from the county public health department. So yeah, they're on the right track at least with, and they gave they did some stupid real estate deals to bring businesses in, but they like sold this piece of land for $30. But so they're being a very good deal to bring businesses in on some extent. So, yeah, they're not bad, and it's like I said, it's growing. The downtown, there's a little downtown area that now there's a couple hotels there, and it's on the transit line, so they built a light rail. So that's not in my district, but it's there's more crime coming in now, so some no they have to worry about that. But there really is a lot of business coming in, which is great.
That is great. But I mean, when more people come into town, there's going to be more crime. I mean, it's simple
Yeah,
math at that point. And it's unfortunate that's the way that is, but bad people do bad shit no matter where it is. I live in Detroit now, which I'm right outside of Detroit and I'm in a good neighborhood, but shit does happen here, you know. But it also happened when I lived in the burbs too. I mean, somebody broke into
yeah,
my wife's car, and I lived in this nice lake community with, I rented a little shack, but just around the corner was a $1.5 million house with an elevator in it because it was on the lake.
right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it can happen anywhere, and it's opportunity. What do but somehow the government's gonna make it all go away if they take our guns and stuff. So that'll end everything. I don't.
well, I mean, that's why there's people like you running locally that's going to say, hey, you're not taking anything from nobody and you're going to have to deal with it, because they're doing that in Michigan right now. One of the rural counties, after they passed the red flag laws here, or before even, they had a vote and Livingston County said, we're not enforcing this shit. We're not doing it. And the same thing in Illinois, they passed all their red flag gun laws. And I believe 73 or 74 police agencies over there now have said, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
And because
Yeah,
at the,
that's why local sheriffs is a very important race too, for that especially.
yes, yes. And even so, like, say you get a libertarian local sheriff to come through, not only will they protect your gun rights, but like they're going to start leaving peaceful people alone and stop filling prisons with people who haven't done anything wrong necessarily, because they possess the plant, or maybe a mushroom or whatever it may be. It's none of anybody's business if that's what they want to do with their life.
And same with like you said, protecting from federal. I know there was like a Missouri sheriff who was like, when the ATF was passing their stuff, they just passed. He's like, sorry, you can't come in my town and enforce your stupid ATF rules and stuff. So it's true. And there are even, I mean, there are bad GOP sheriffs who said they would do red flag laws, so you really do have to watch what everyone's doing. I would love if like Arvada could be a sanctuary city for 2A. That would be really cool. So that's what I'm hoping. If the other guy wins, then we'll have 2 votes. We could do stuff like that then.
That'd be sweet.
Try.
That'd be really sweet. Right now, the city of Detroit and the police chief is on board with this. There's an area in downtown Detroit called Greektown. It's kind of a happening spot. A lot of restaurants. There's a casino. There's a lot of shit to do down there. But some things have happened down there recently, and they're now trying to make that a gun-free zone. Let me reiterate that. A gun-free zone in downtown Detroit. Like that makes any sense at all. They're literally trying to push this right now. And don't think for 30 seconds or even 2 seconds that if this goes through, that they won't start doing this shit in the next town over and the next state over and the next one over. I mean, this is a big deal. Everybody needs to be paying attention to this right now. I'm actually going with some of the local affiliates on June 1st to go protest in Greektown about this shit.
Oh, good.
Well, because you can't, first off, Detroit's one of the most armed cities in the United States, period. And rightfully so. I mean, I'm not going to say that Detroit's bad and we have all this crime and shit, because believe it or not, it gets a bad rap, but Detroit's a great city and it's not as crime ridden as the media portrays it to be. But it is one of those places, like, if you don't start no shit, there ain't going to be no shit, and that's the vibe of Detroit, but for them to say, hey, we're going to say this area in downtown Detroit, you can't have guns. It's just going to open the floodgates for criminals to go down there and start robbing people and shit.
What you mean the criminals wouldn't follow that rule? What?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Who am I to think that, that criminals won't just follow these gun laws, it's crazy. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Are they trying to do anything like that in Colorado right now?
I'm sure Boulder somewhere has tried that, and then like Denver you're supposed to not be concealed carry in Denver, and yeah, something else I found out. Someone found me through all this stuff. They passed something in Colorado where teachers and staff from the public schools could be trained and get this like certification, and so they can carry at school. They can carry on public school grounds. Would you think the school districts are telling any of the teachers about this program, or like, so if you don't know about this, which most pro-gun people obviously might know about it just because they follow that kind of stuff, but like, so this guy's been coming to me and I'm going to try and help him. The school board refuses to tell the teachers that there's this program where you can get trained and carry on school grounds if you want to protect, because it's supposedly a gun-free zone, which has made these soft targets and stuff. Yeah, so there's dumb stuff like that. I'm sure Boulder has gun free. I'm sure all downtown Boulder's gun free, even though it's not. Like I don't understand that. There's no logic behind it for an area. I can understand a private, like a stadium, how I don't like it, but I can understand how they want that, right? But like a area, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, a private business, like, if a business says, hey, we don't want firearms in here, that's within their right as a business to do so. I have to respect that, honestly. I don't have to like it, but I have to respect it because that's their business. And I don't want anybody telling me how to run my business, so there's that. But to just call, certain areas of a city a gun-free zone just sounds totally absurd and dangerous at that, and to be quite honest with you, I don't care what's a gun-free zone. Carry your guns. Take them everywhere because you just never know when shit's going to jump off. There was just a video that I saw recently of a Little League baseball game, and all of a sudden you hear a bunch of gunshots popping off and all these kids got to hit the deck and shit. And this is supposed to be like a gun-free zone on this ball field area. Absolutely not. No, parents need to start bringing their guns to these games. And, bring your guns everywhere because the world is getting crazier by the day. They're shooting up supermarkets. They're shooting up malls, grocery, whatever it may be. Schools, they're doing it everywhere. You brought up the one thing about the guns in the schools, for the teachers and whatnot. We had a school shooting here about a year and a half ago. It's probably almost been 2 years now in one of the rural areas. And that school now has a safe with a couple of rifles and some tactical gear in it. and everybody's having a fit about that right now. And I'm like, some kid just shot up that school, man. Like, why would they not want to have guns there? Are you kidding me right now?
And they blame the peaceful people who want to protect themselves for what these crazy people do. It makes like, I'm like, you can see the bad person just did that, and you're blaming these people have nothing to do with it. Like they just keep pushing for that. It's it's a weird brainwashing. When you go speak against that thing, you should do a troll and say rapists for gun-free zones. I knew a guy who did that. He would go to gun control rallies and stuff and put rapists for gun control. You know, a lot of people would like, oh, there was mostly women, obviously, and they would get mad. But there was a couple of them who would like, you saw it kind of turn in their brain where they're like, I kind of get what he's saying. Like, obviously, a rapist wants someone disarmed, you know? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's ways to get through to them, but overall, they just had to sit in these all these moms. I don't know if it was Moms Demand Action, but it was a group like that. Went to our Capitol, which is protected by guns. Went to the Capitol building, and they were doing a sit-in until for a gun buyback program or blah blah. It's just like what. Well, we all spoke against an AR ban this year too, and all the Moms Demand Action people. They were just crying the whole time. They had no facts. You know, everyone was talking about how the 223 blows up an elk and stuff like
Oh
that.
my
Jesus,
God.
like they don't know anything about anything, and they're trying to make policy and they're trying to influence policy off of the emotional crap. And yeah, that's another thing with local involvement too, is because the left has all this local involvement with all these loonies. They have that organization down, and that's what we're trying to keep catch up with too, is to get enough local involvement to go up against all these loonies, because they had all these Moms Demand Action and matching outfits and crying, you know, and it's we just have to like play their games a little bit and get a little more. The organization is like you saw, it's been hard getting involved because it's just the organization's hard. So it's just a lot of catch up going on right now.
Yeah, well, it's crazy that there's so many people who are for disarming citizens. You know, because at the end of the day, the Second Amendment isn't even about protecting ourselves from bad guys. It's the last line of defense between us and tyrants. It's about protecting ourselves from the government, which we definitely need right now. These people are out of their minds, and
They
it's
are.
only getting worse. It ain't getting better, you
Yeah, and
know?
they're threatening. They're like, "What are you going to do against the F-16?" And I'm like, "Do you want? That's abusive. Like that's what an abusive tyrant says. Is you can't fight against me, so whatever." Like,
Yeah, you need F-16s and nukes or whatever. I laughed at
yeah,
that. I said, there's a funny meme about that. It says it has Joe Biden saying that, and then it has the guy from the Taliban just laughing.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because how did that go in Afghanistan again? We all know how that went down. We did not win that war. That's for damn sure.
And they got all the weapons.
They did get all the weapons, but honestly, like that is our last line of defense between us and the government. I don't care what they say about, having nukes or bigger weapons or whatnot. You know, there's 400 million guns in America that people own. We're the largest armed militia in the world. I don't think they want to play with us. Good
Yeah,
morning.
and
Good afternoon.
all those F-16. If an F-16 pilot was going to turn against the people, well, they have lived somewhere. You know, everybody lives somewhere, and they're outside of that plane at some point. So it's like you can say that all you want, but we'll Wolverine that shit.
You better believe it. I'll dig my boots in the dirt for sure. Shit gets wild, or even like, with all this shit, they're poking the bear right now on the other side of the pond, whether it be with China or Russia, trouble could very well find its way here. And all these gun grabbers will be begging for weapons of war at that point. Where's our
Yeah,
AKs and our ARs? You know what I mean? They'll be begging for that stuff. And these are the same people who are all like, oh, we need to give all these weapons to Ukraine.
yeah.
But
But
from
to
us.
defend themselves against the government, but you say you want to defend yourself against the government, you're not. You're crazy.
They're all crazy. We live in a world where nothing makes sense and everything contradicts itself. That's where we are at. That's the
Post truth.
phrase. Make Orwell fiction again, please, please. I mean, this is 1984, an Animal Farm, all wrapped up in together. Please read those books and you'll understand. Or watch the 1984 movie if you don't like to read. It's very real. But is there anything you want to say before we take off? I don't want to keep you too much longer.
No, I think we hit it all. If you want to do local, go local. Oh, I'm sure crazy shit that happened to me won't happen to you. So don't be scared. Like, but I get it when people can't or don't want to either. So, but yeah, that's all. That's all I got.
Jessica, Forest Mommy, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And until next time, peace, love, and liberty, y'all.